Good afternoon, everybody. Bobby Cleveland here, Oklahoma Corrections Professionals, Executive Director. And we also have Representative Justin Humphrey, JJ Humphrey, with us today. He's usually with us every day. And he did not notice anything different about me, and I'm kind of disappointed.
No, I noticed you shaved her off, Bob.
You didn't say anything about it. I shave a mustache.
I don't always say what I think, Bob.
I just got tired. I got tired of messing with it. And just did it at a whim like yesterday. But Humphrey, we got so much to talk about. I know we can't get it all in one day, but I thought I'd just real briefly read a comment that I got from Dick Connors, Correctional Center. It says, and this is from a staff. It says, we're a critically low staff and security. I blame Oklahoma City. Oh, and we have lost 2 deputy wardens in that time too. One demoted rather than to get transferred. Staff was in shock. That's 2 wardens in 10 months have been terminated. So it was, again, we don't know why, but it seems like that the ones they're terminating are the guys that's got a lot of years in. It looks like a pattern there.
Bob, they've made, I can't even keep up with all the articles that have hit the headlines, whether it be on Fox 25's doing a series of articles on DOC. I think Oklahoma Watch did 2 reports, one on some shower issues and one that we've reported on here multiple times. I think they reported on the temperature that they had an inmate.
2 guys died.
Yeah, I think they reported on that. There's just constant media stuff. So, one of the things that I talk to, and I get called with media so much, but one of the things that I talked to one of the media, can't remember which one we were talking about, it's not, if you got 9 people who sued you that are top executives, and we've discussed this on here, is one, it's unprecedented that level of people and that many people file suit at the same time. There's
always more coming.
Oh yeah. And it's always, wow, that's pretty shocking. And it's like, can all of these people be wrong? You might have 2 or 3, but 9 of them. And again, you got people like Pettigrew. He went on there and talking. I mean, Pettigrew, one of your best ones. You got people like the doctor, people like Josh Ward, who again, all of these people had great reputations. What are you firing them for? And then you got this whole conglomerate that's up here in at 3400 Martin Luther King. That guess what? You ain't done anything, and then you're bringing over all your people from where you used to work, bringing them over with no experience. So again, I mean, we're not the only ones seeing that. That's going out in the
He's
media.
going to get somebody killed with he's done this.
Well, Bob, what I told him, I said, that's not all of that is a story. There's no question. There's a story there. But I said, the bigger story, y'all's missing the big story. I said, the big story is go check with Bobby Cleveland and find out how much that they had to increase on paying their attorney to represent so many people that are being demoted, being fired, being, disciplined. And again, go over and talk to the attorney that's using and ask him, has he seen a great influx in the cases that and are they winning the majority of cases? I said, there's your story. It's not just these 9, but when you combine it with that fact, it's just astronomical.
Well, here's what they're doing. I mean, it's not their money, so they don't care.
No,
this is the people's money, so they just wasted it. But they get it, and they lose on their first round. They appeal. They lose on their second round. They appeal. They lose on their third round. They appeal, and they just want to keep appealing to try to wear it down they're certain for them. It's just more money.
Hey, Bob, it's tax money, man. It comes straight out of your taxpayer's pocket. They don't care. They don't care at all.
If it's his money, he would care, but he'd have a lot of difference of opinion about
it. If you're paying the bill, you wouldn't keep. Hey, Bob, I had OU one time come to me, wanted to appeal a case that I had on a timber issue. And I said, well, if I lose, who pays the bill? And they said, well, that'd be you. You'll have to pay the attorney fee. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, if y'all, because OU Law School come to me and wanted to represent, thought I was right. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, if you're so convinced that you're right, if y'all lose, y'all pay my lawyer fee. Oh, we can't do that. I said, well, then I ain't, you know what I'm saying? When I had to pay lawyer fee, I was right, but I ain't going to go risk paying the lawyer fee. You know what I'm saying? And if they paid that lawyer fee, if they come out of their pocket, all these appeals and all of that process, and oh, we're right because we say we're right.
Hey, on people in the showers.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I know you told them about this quite some time ago.
Oh yeah.
And they said it's not happening.
Here's the deal. I got a hold to them and said, hey, informally, I didn't go out. I said informally, hey, here it is. Sent it directly to them, got a message back, said, hey, we didn't find anything. 3 or 4 weeks later, I got a deal back, said, yeah, we're investigating it. And again, I've never heard anything. I catch the rest in the news. That's the way, Bob, they act like I'm behind over one of their problems. They're behind the problems.
Now, on Oklahoma Watch, he's got down 17 inmates were in there for some time.
Yeah, the report that started that, my report, and again, I've told several people after that I thought they were going to cover it up. I did go out and let it be known.
Well, that's their MO, cover it up.
Well, and I got no doubt that if they want to blame me for that getting covered, I'll take full credit for it all day. But again, I tried to get them to take care of it. They're not going to. They don't respond to me. Yeah,
but you told them about it before it got as big as it got.
Oh, I told them about it.
They wouldn't.
They didn't come out. They had months. They had it at least a month. I'd have to go back and look when I.
But it's like everything. They think that we're lying or we don't know what we're talking about, and it turns out to be factual. Let's go back to the Prius at Eddie Warrior. They said that didn't happen too.
Right. Well, Bob, here's the deal. When you go back in there and you look at how many people that resigned, and it's the same people we named, when you go back in there and look at 2 separate people are reporting the same almost identical incidents that didn't corroborate, and we've got that. We've got 2 separate people reporting that. When you go back in and you prove, and they come back and said, hey, the whistleblower didn't file that until after she was fired, you can go get the documents. They called me a liar. Go get the documents. I think she filed it in September, got fired in January. Go back and get that. And they'll openly call me a liar and say, I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm making it up for political. I got really tickled, Bob, if you watched the 25 interview that they did with the director the other day. He said the reason that I'm coming out and politically attacking them is because I wanted his job and that I was mad at him, and that I told him that I was mad at him because he got the job. Bob, what I told him, I did tell him about that my name was put in, and I told him in a way that, hey, look, just for full disclosure, I got put in this, but I want to try to work with you. And that's what I said. I don't think that I was ever a serious candidate because I never got an interview. I was asked, would I put in a resume? And I said, hey, I don't want to put in a resume until I talk to the governor, him and his staff, to make sure that we're on the same page. If we're not on the same page, I don't want to have to fight. If I'm working for somebody, I gotta work for them, and we gotta be on the same page. Otherwise, wouldn't be no use in me getting a job. It'd just be a fight. And so again, I never got an interview. I don't know that I was a serious candidate. Maybe I was, maybe I wasn't. But I told him that so that full disclosure.
Well, he embellished it.
Oh, absolutely. And again, here's the deal, Bob. Even if let's say I do have a political axe to grind, again, does that give them the right? So just because I got a political axe to grind, it's all right to put inmates in a shower and leave them for days at a time without food or water, or without a bathroom.
Well, hey, Humphrey, here's the thing. How many things have we brought to their attention? They won't talk to us. We're lions and we're bullies.
Well, Bob, here's the bottom line. From day one, they have said you're a third party. We're not going to have anything to do with you. And I'm going to tell you, Bob, I think mine and your relationship has probably caused conflict between me and them because I support what you do 1,000%. I'll go on here. I'll tell anybody. I'll go on the media. Who I'm working for is boots on the ground, common people, the people who are actually doing the job. That's who I answer to, not these higher ups who try to keep their kingdom, who get a $90,000 raise. My gosh,
no experience. When you put his $90,000, $275,000 now he makes. Compare that to other states like Oklahoma. He's way out there, and they all have experience. He had zero experience in corrections, zero, and he got a $90,000 raise without any experience. Bob, and he's in over his head. DOC is a complete mess now. It's a complete mess.
Me and you fought for an entire year to get this raise that the correctional officers got and that the other employees got, support staff. I don't even call them support staff because, man, they're critical staff. They're essential staff. And so they got a 4%. And I'm going to tell you people out there listening, and we had people mad at us for not getting more. We got you what we could. But do I think that you deserve much more? Absolutely. Will I fight to get you more? Absolutely, 100%. But for that person who's down there in the heart of these prisons, who have worked years to get where they're at, who's went to school or went to training or got experience, and for them to get a 4% and turn around and see a guy who walks in the door and gets a 48.6% raise on an already 185, go figure 50% on it was $90,000. I mean, I can tell you what it is because that's what we've seen. So, guess what? Now, you want to blame that on J.J. Humphrey that your people are upset? That ain't J.J. Humphrey. That's something you did. That's between you and your boss, and y'all did it, and I'll carry it. The only thing that I'm doing is just telling you what your employees are saying. Because my phone rung off the hook saying, hey, that ain't right. Guess what? And you know what? I agree with them.
Not only that, he's firing employees of DOC and bringing in unexperienced. They don't know anything about the prison, bringing them in, giving them more money when we've got people at DOCs that's qualified to do whatever job he's got. Been here 25 years, 20 years.
Think about this. If you've worked 20, 15 years, 15, whatever, and you've dedicated your life and you've worked all this time, and now a position comes open that you would like to have and you'd like to be thought, and you got all this experience and you've dedicated your life to this department, and they just reach over here and bring somebody that has zero experience, and you're going to talk about morale. And you're gonna blame J.J. Humphrey and Bobby Cleveland on bad morale because we get on here and we got a public axe to grind or we got a political axe to grind and we just want to make this place worse and we're the problem. And again, it's almost laughable. It is laughable that you can, Bob, think about this. Think about this. You're going to fire some of your top people who know quite a bit about your business, okay? They know the Department of Corrections. You're going to fire these people. Now, these are not people who are cowards. They've worked their way all the way through. They've worked in penitentiaries. They're pretty educated. They're knowledgeable people. And now you're going to fire them, and you think that all they're going to do is sue you? I mean, do you not have a brain? Do you think all they're going to do is sue you? No, they're going to call up somebody like me, and they're going to say, hey, JJ, you ought to look over here. Hey, JJ, you ought to look over here. Hey, JJ, this mess. You think my phone is not ringing off the hook with all these people that you're demoting, that you're firing, that you're doing all this stuff? Do you not think my phone ain't ringing off the hook 24/7? And then I get a report, and I don't call it out immediately. I call him and say, hey, or I email them. I didn't call, I email. And again, here you go. Boom. And so, guess what? I didn't go right out. But when you don't do anything, when you come back and say, nope, no big deal. Nope, it ain't happening. Just like on these rates.
Did they say that having somebody in there 3 days, did they kind of say, oh, that's not a big deal?
Well, Bob, what I said, I think what they said, I'd have to go back and look and read it because I get accused of lying so much. I don't want to lie. Between their staff and Maggie, I get accused of lying all the time. And so I want to make sure that we're correct. I do want to tell everybody, you can go read all this stuff, pull up Oklahoma Watch, pull up Fox 25, pull up a bunch of these newspapers, and they've got report after report after report in all this. So don't take my word for it. We want to be factual. We want to be truthful. But yeah, Bob, I think one of those that I read said, well, we only, it wasn't for days. It was only 3 days. Yeah. And again, they didn't come out and go, oh, there's nothing wrong with 3 days, but they just tried to undermine it and say, well, it's only 3 days. What I would like to tell people, and Bob, I will tell you, I've said this, I think I've said it on here, that the biggest part of this that I can't believe, the part of this story I can't believe, who would build a 2x2 shower? I'm a little man, but I'm wider, you know what I'm saying? And a 2x2,
very big.
Go draw you a square on something, 2x2, and step in that. Try to sit down in that. And again, you're going to have to go to the bathroom in there. Where are you going to the bathroom? And then if you do, where are you going to sit? What are you going? I mean, this is gross stuff to talk about, but it's the reality when you're talking 3 days. If you're in there, no water. If you're in there, no food. If you're in there, no bathroom breaks. These are things. And Bob, what we tried to do in talking to employees before, and again, I want to just get it out there. These are not just bad policy violations. These would equate to civil rights violations. They would equate to human rights violations. And here's what's funny. I'm just going to say it because I'm not trying to get them. If I was trying to get them, I'd keep my mouth shut and just go after them, call the FBI. If I really want, I mean, if they want to have an all-out fight, guess what? I'll just go call the FBI and say, hey, let me give you all these atrocities that have happened. I've not done that yet. That's always in the, but here's what they got to do. If I was investigating this and they have known about the issue and now they covered up, they're just as responsible. No matter that you're the director, that director won't pull crap when you got emails to show that you knew it. You knew this and you did nothing. You knew that people were being raped and you did nothing. Now he can hang his hat on and he did the other night. Well, the AG come and looked at this. We had a hearing. We proved that the AG talked to your person who did the investigation. The AG admits that. So again, did they look at our witnesses? No. Did we provide witnesses that provided more information? Yes. Did DOC bring over their key witness? No. Why'd they leave their key witness at home? I can tell you why, because he don't want to answer the questions. He don't want to be in front of that. And then you saw how their lawyer refused to answer any questions that were obvious. And so again, we've done the work. If you say, well, you didn't prove there's whistleblower. Yeah, we did prove that it was filed through OMES, that OMES referred it to the AG. When I asked the AG, have you talked to the whistleblower? No. Well, how do you investigate a whistleblower violation without talking to the whistleblower? Hell, that's common. I mean, wow, I'm going to not cuss. I'm going to not cuss. But golly, Bob, how do you do an investigation on whistleblower violation and never talk to the person? Did you go down and talk to OMES to see if it's filed? Did you see if it's filed properly? They didn't do none of that. Guess what? They didn't go and talk to anybody to see if what she reported was right. They didn't go and look and say, okay, even if she was wrong, did she have reason to believe and did she have a duty to report this? And did she get fired just because she reported it? Well, guess what? The court said they didn't have a reason to fire. And then they come back and on this 5%, I don't know if you've seen on the 5% them talking about, they can't answer the 5%. And for our listeners, what 5% means is that they did away with merit protection. And again, if we're just going to call it out, guess who was responsible for that? OMS. Guess who the director was at that time? That's going to be your director now. So that's going to be Stephen Hart. Was greatly responsible for wiping out a good program, merit protection, and putting in this that makes it twice as difficult.
Yeah, and that person from like OPEA said that was really a good move. You know how many cases they had last year? OPEA, or the last year we had Ethics Commission. You know how many people? They only had like 6 cases.
Right.
Wow.
Wow.
We're having like 90.
Yeah. But here's the deal, Bob. Anybody that knows, anybody that's participated in that, go get Matt Frisbee, the attorney who handles overwhelming. Go get Gary, James. Go get him. I mean, he handles. Go get either one of these top-notch attorneys and say, is this a fair system or is this a fair system? They won't hesitate to tell you which one's a fair system.
See, that's what's interesting, JJ. The system they're in is we're not supposed to win. It's set up for us not to win, and we still win.
And here's the deal, Bob. What the reason they used, and I'm in the legislature. I know all this. We've talked this. You were very instrumental in this bill, trying to fight this bill to keep them from passing this. But again, one of the things, and I end up, this for full disclosure, I end up voting for it because we were told we were going to get an opportunity to fix problems and work problems, which never happened.
Right.
But at the end of the day, one of the big things they hung their hat on was that you had all these employees that weren't represented. Well, guess what? That's called unclassified. And now what do you have? You have 5%. Guess what 5% is? Unclassified. Now they're trying to say, oh, well, we narrowed that. I don't see that. And I wonder if anybody's went and said, hey, has anybody took 5% of what DOC employees, how many employees do they have? And then take 5% of that and see, are they pretty close? Because you can only have 5%. That's what it's saying. What do you want? I don't know. I hadn't done the number, but it'd be pretty interesting to go, how many people y'all got on 5%? Y'all can't have 2,000 people on 5%. You know what I mean? And I'm giving because they'll come back. Oh, look, he lied. I feel worse than Donald Trump. I had to, everything, you know, you had to justify it. You can't even tell a joke on something.
Oh, they say that you and I lie and we're bullies. Now, I'd like to know who we bully.
Well, people do say I'm intimidating. It's my size, I think. A lot of people say I'm intimidating. I think it's, I'm such a big feller, But here's the deal, Bob. Been my experience that when I was in probation pro, people who cheat think everybody's cheating them. People who steal think everybody's stealing off of them. People who sell drugs accuse everybody else of being a drug dealer. So, when people accuse me of bullying, I generally like to start right there, pull the old log out of your own eye before you start pulling the splinter out of mine. You know what I'm saying? I think they got a lot more bullying going on than I got. And again, I don't know, who can I bully? I mean, if going to the media and telling what's going on, and again, Bob, here's the difference. When we had that hearing on rape, and they got on there and said, I didn't produce any evidence. Anybody, I encourage you, get on the video.
It was a lot.
Oh, we start with, is this the termination that happened? Yes. Is this the hearing report? Yes. Is this the 5%? Yes. Is this the letter they wrote? Yes. Have you won this? Yes. And then we have the witness's testimony supported by all of this. We get OMES. Did you get this? Yes. Have you written an affidavit saying all this? Yes. And then can you explain how this works? We got that testimony. We bring over the AG, and the AG said we did look at it. They did say that. I'll tell you right up front. But then they said, well, it's hard to get secondary corroboration. Well, guess what? We brought in secondary corroboration, and we hadn't investigated nothing. I mean, we found inmates that come and testified. We found employees come and testify. We had letter after letter after letter saying this. Again, some anonymous because they fear retaliation. But again, Bob, I mean, you see what I'm saying? We had witnesses. We had written documentation. We had all of these things in a massive amount. And they go on media and go, well, they produced no evidence. And we've got the AG. We get the AG. He says, well, you can't get secondary information. We got it. He said, most of the time these rapes are consensual. Well, golly, if anybody working for the Department of Corrections, hey, go get a crackhead off the street, and a crackhead off the street knows you can't have consensual sex with an inmate. You can't do it. I pulled the rape definition out. Section 7 of that definition says anybody working in a correctional setting, state, federal, whatever, cannot have sex. There is no consensual sex. It says it right there. How does the AG's man get up and say, well, it's consensual? Well, that shows you a mindset, okay? And
we have the document from a lawyer that says that the AG told him that it's consensual.
OIG called and told this lawyer, oh, well, he did admit to us that he had sex with, but it was consensual, so we couldn't do anything. Well, guess what? A consensual sex is an admittance of rape. That's what that is. That's what that guy just said. Let me paraphrase what he just said. If you admit as a correctional officer, I had sex with the inmate, you just admitted to rape. Everybody knows that. We had that from an attorney. Now, here's what the AG said. Well, that don't get you all the way home because you got to have some other evidence. You can't just get there. Now, I've been in law enforcement long time, and typically that'll get you there. But if it don't get you there, you're close enough to home plate to spit on it, and you just go work it a little bit harder, and it's not hard generally to get some corroborating information. The reason they don't get it is because they say, if you resign, we won't look for it. So that's what we were saying. And when you have 6 or so that, okay, this officer's accused, resign. This officer's accused, resign. This officer's recused, resign. Just the mere fact of all of them ought to be some, Scooby-Doo, we call it a clue. And again, you got our staff, our DOC sitting up there, nothing to see here. Keep walking. JJ's just got a political act. JJ's just mad. Nothing to see on the whistleblower. We lost in court twice. Now we got it appealed. She did file it. Nothing to see here. AG didn't investigate it. Nothing to see here. Y'all just keep walking. JJ's done lost his mind. Bob, when we come out, before this director was here, when we come out that they had a shortage of staff, critical shortage of staff, guess what? JJ's lost his mind. Keep on walking. Keep on walking. When we found $43 million stuck off in their budget, JJ, what they come out. Oh, we found the $43 billion and we're going to do it. And they took full credit for it. And JJ's an idiot and keep walking. And now here we got these shower issues. Oh, JJ's just got a political axe grind. 9 people come up and sue. Oh, JJ put them up to it. I'm surprised they didn't say I'm responsible for the war going on in Ukraine and in Israel. I might as well be guilty of everything. I've done everything. It's insane.
Well, I did a little Googling today, and they've terminated so many people and turn around and bring people in from OMES who are not qualified for the job. They bring a girl over to be over the doctors who doesn't have any medical experience at all.
Hey, Bob, I do want to say, and I'm not going to bring up a name, I want to say I like that person.
Oh, it's a great person. She's not a doctor.
Well, I think the person has a lot of knowledge on health insurance, but absolutely, if you're required to have a medical degree to be over the medical, then how do you bring over a person, pay them? What I was told, I don't know whether it's true, but I was told she's making more than the person that was there before. Whether that's true or not, she's making a lot of money. And at the end of the day, you went and had to hire somebody to be over this. So now you've doubled the money that you're spending on that. Doubled it.
Well, they got rid of Josh. And it's funny, today, a reporter's telling me that he did a really good job.
Yeah, Josh. Hey, Bob, what's funny, I know Josh had said a couple of things were against me and you, but here's the deal. He is only being told what to say. I mean, he's just doing what the department tells him to. But Josh was a good dude. I don't care where you go out. Anybody that worked with him, I know people who worked right hand in hand with him, and I ain't heard anybody say nothing but good about him. If you go out here and talk to all the media, they bragged on that he was just really, really a good guy. So again, when you're firing people, and Bob, here's the deal: if you talk to Josh at all, he's gonna tell you this comes as a total shock to him. That's the deal. Usually, if I'm gonna be fired, we've been having, if I work for you, Bob, and me and you are having problems, and you're coming in and saying, Humphrey, you ain't doing this, Humphrey, you ain't doing that, Humphrey, I'm sick of telling you. Okay, you walk in and fire me. I can kind of see it coming. But you know what? When you talk person after person who says, I got no idea why they fired me. And I'm like, oh, come on, you got to know. No, listen, Humphrey, I got no idea why they fired me. And Bob, I'm wanting to say there may be some on that list out of that 9 that were having problems. The question is, the problems arise to termination. The question is, did you do a 90-day plan?
They don't follow progressive discipline. I mean, if you mess up or do something wrong, they just want to fire you. They want to go straight to fire you, and they've got us in a pickle. We don't have enough people in none of our prisons has the right amount that they should have. Everybody's shorthanded. We can't have any kitchen help. Can't get those people because they don't want to pay them, but they pay him $90,000 more without any qualification. But anyway, hey, I was just looking up cronyism, exactly the meaning of cronyism.
Yep.
And I figured I knew what it was, but I just said it's the appointment of friends and associates to positions of authority without proper regard to their qualifications. Now we are eat up with cronyism there at DOC.
Bob, I don't know if you remember, he's more well known in southeastern Oklahoma. There's a boy named Gene Stipe, and he used to be a senator for roughly 50 years. And Gene was pretty well known. Ended up in little legal issues, at the end of his life there. But Gene was super well known. You couldn't hardly get a job with the Department of Corrections if you didn't go to Gene, you know what I mean? And hey, stuff that they're doing right now to make Gene Stipe blush. I guarantee you. Gene Stipe wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? I don't think Gene would have hired somebody and turned around and give them a $90,000 raise. I don't, he might have given them 10, but I don't think he'd give them 90. You know what? And when they're already making 185, and you got to compare that. Here's what I compare it to. You got to look down there at Texas, and you got to say, hey, they got a $3 million larger, not 3 million, 3 billion, excuse me. Got to get that B. It's hard for me to use billion, but $3 billion larger budget. You know, what's their inmate count? Is it 3 times, 4 times what Oklahoma's is? I know it's 3. I think it may be 4. Go look it up. I want to make sure I say everything correct. Hate to be accused of being a liar. So go look it up, and then go look up the experience of their director. He come through the ranks, 30 years. And guess what? These two are making the same amount of money. How do you justify a $3 billion larger budget, 3 times to 4 times amount of inmate population, 30 years experience, same money as this person? And again, here's the deal. If he came in and got all of his employees a big fat raise, and if he was able to bring in a whole bunch more employees and stop all the bleeding we've got, stop all the violence in the prisons, and stop all the drug stuff, and man, just get the uniforms like we need to. And, I mean, if he walked in and done all that, and then he said, hey, I want a raise, I'd be like, give the man whatever he wants, But here's the deal. I hadn't seen that. I hadn't seen that. And here's the deal. I had never in my career seen 90-year executives file a lawsuit. In my career, I have not seen any higher that I'm aware of, any higher number of people in the bottom ranks being demoted, being fired, being the problems you're having there. I can't see that we're increasing. We don't look like we're increasing on the employees. Of course, I get no numbers. They don't provide anything.
They don't want to be transparent and admit that we're way short of help. The officers know, the kitchen help knows, the staff knows that we're short. But it's since he's been there, we've gone backwards.
For Bob, let's say,
exception of payroll's increased.
Well, let's say this: from where we're sitting, it does look that way because we want to be factual, but we don't want to be called liars. We want to be factual. But here's the deal: we get employees calling us. Now, sometimes employees may be mad, so we got to weigh that out. And we do weigh that out. But again, I'm not getting told from hey, when's the last time the director sent me a report? When's the last time they verified any comment they've ever made? What have they done? I mean, what have they done? I have no idea. I don't see.
They have fired a lot of people.
Well, they say they've dropped.
And they have demoted. I mean, I see these figures all the time. I pay the bills. I know what it's costing, but they have fired more people, and since he's been there, than probably 50 years of firing people.
Well, it appears that way from where we're sitting, that it does seem high, and that's what we're basing it on. We're not just basing it on, hey, somebody called us. We're basing it on.
Well, prove us wrong. Prove us wrong.
Hey, here's the deal. We base it on multiple people calling. We base it on the attorney says he's never seen the level. We base it on the fact that you're paying the bill and you hadn't seen that level in the last however long. So again, we're basing it on those information and what we have. But again, Bob, I mean, I can tell you when a person calls and says, I want to retire out of this system. I want to retire. I love working for DOC. I just no longer can work for them because I don't get paid. They make me work all this overtime. I can't get a check, and here's the deal. And then you see somebody get that kind of level of income. Yeah, I got to say, I would be burned too. I would be upset. And I'll tell you another thing that bothers me, Bob. And again, I'm going to be a little more open because we got people, oh, don't use my name. Don't do this. Don't do that. Okay, that's fine. I'm good with that. I tried not to. I mean, that's what I'm going to try. I just say DOC. But you know what? Every time I look up, they got a report. And they don't have a problem saying my name. They don't have a problem calling me a liar. They don't have a problem calling me saying that I've got a political axe to grind. They don't have a problem misquoting my words or exaggerating what I said, or what I believe I said. And maybe he took it. I don't know. That's fine. I don't really care. Because guess what? The question is what I'm saying true? Is what I'm saying true? And I'll tell you another thing. Their attitude towards, they may not like you. They may not like me. That's okay. But here's the deal. Whether they like it or not, you represent a large portion of their employees. And their attitude towards you reveals their attitude towards OCP.
They told me that our OCP employees are just a bunch of convicts, just a bunch of loafers, and putting them all down. But they're the one that hired them.
Well, here's the deal. They're your employees. If that's your attitude towards employees because they join an organization that you don't like, and why do you not like them? Because, you're responsible for this. You're responsible. Yeah, I am responsible for calling out that you're putting people in showers. And the question is, what have you done about it? Now it's out. Now it's out. Even greater than what I thought. More confirmed according to these news articles. And I'm going to.
Well, they have somebody that goes around prisons. We have somebody, a higher ranking official that goes to Sayre. They went over there to what's the prison's name now?
Great Plains.
Great Plains. They went to Great Plains. And you're telling me he's there a lot. You're telling me he had no idea that was going on?
Well, Bob,
If that's the case, then that guy needs to go.
well, I don't know who knew and who didn't, but what I'm saying is that needs to be looked into. And the question is, what have you done? Has anybody been disciplined? Has anybody, again, these are things where, if there were 17 people put in a shower, if they were left up to 3 days, they come out. My understanding, and I haven't seen this, my understanding, and again, a reporter told me this, that they admitted that they'd left people up to 3 days. And the way it was put to me, only 3 days. Well, again, only 3 days is like, wow, to me. That's like, wow.
Let's say 9. The reporter says 9 days is what he was.
And again, I mean,
Well, we're having a problem there in Lane, Oklahoma. Their internet has messed up, JJ, and I don't know. We're going to get back on. It's going to get back up, or what it is. But what we're talking about is the individuals that's been put into a shower.
Except for when I say, hey, these rapes occurred, it turns out all these people were resigned. Turns out that you got people that send me a letter anonymous. They didn't send it anonymously. I made them anonymous because they didn't want. But again, they're saying, hey, I've sat in a room and watched them tell people, change their mind, change their testimony when we had it on film. Now we have that letter. We presented that letter the other day that they sat in a room and this person who's investigating changes the person's testimony even when they got it on video. Okay, now I didn't say that. I had it in a letter. Now, would that warrant investigation? And all I ever said was, we ought to investigate this. We ought to have all the AG investigate. Really? Did they talk to this person? Guess what? That's a big fat no. And did they come to me to where I could call that person and say, hey, I can get you in here to somebody and we keep your name?
Who does OIG report to? Who's their main boss at OIG?
It's the director.
Okay, so we're going to investigate ourselves.
Yes.
That
Bob,
makes
I filed to take that out from there one time, and I let people talk me out of that. Was a bad move. I should have removed. I had a bill to try to remove that. I should have worked that harder. I can't do it. It has to be the state do it. We had to do it through a legislation, but I didn't work it. I let people talk me out of it, and I will tell you the reason I let people talk me out of it, Bob, is because it's difficult. Where do you put it? You know what I'm saying? So that's the problem. Where do you put that? Who would take it over? Who would investigate it? I think the AG would be a good spot to put it under. I had talked about the Secretary of Public Safety. They sure didn't want it.
I wonder about the AG's office if they just go and ask, hey, did this really happen? No.
Well, I'm not too. The AG has continued to work with me. I like the AG. I don't.
I just I didn't like him, but I said I'm concerned about if they did the kind of investigation they did on the Prius, the kind of investigation they did on the showers.
I don't think they've been called in on the showers yet. So again, I'm going to write them and say, hey, here's another instance of a human rights violation. And again, the question is, what's being done? And I'm going to tell you, I doubt a whole lot's getting done. And again, what you're going to see is you're going to see, well, we were out of room, we were this, we were that. I get that, man. I understand this is a tough place to be. But at the same time, that's like me going down and stealing something and say, well, I was out of food, so I come down here and stole some food. I may understand it, but you know what I'm saying? I'm still going to get arrested. I'm still going. These are things you don't do. You don't put a person in a 2x2. Now, if you put a person in a 2x2 cell for an hour because you had something going on and that's all you had, okay. If you put them in there for 6 hours because you had something going on and major problem, okay, there's a place where you can justify 3 days. That's hard to justify. And if you've got statements of people saying that they were told they were doing this for punishment. That's the key nobody's talking about. Nobody's talking about that people said this was occurring for punishment. Another key is that they're criticizing and humiliating people who want to, who don't agree with this, and that they're saying, "Oh, you just don't understand how things work around here. We're a different prison." Well, again, and if you look at what they're going to come back and say, I can tell you, I prophesy what they're going to say. They're going to come back and say, well, these people who said this don't understand how this prison works. And this was only here this. And we got people who didn't want to be in a cell, so they chose to be in a 2x2 cell. Again, but here's where I'm at, Bob. Does it warrant investigating by somebody other than your handpicked person who's going to write whatever you want? Yes, it warrants that. And does it warrant, again, should the AG just go over and talk to, so here, let's give another example. So they had their people, I'm told, I've not seen the report, but I'm told there's a very lengthy report on this. Now, should the AG go over and talk to the guy who made the report? Absolutely. But should he base his information solely upon the guy who done the report? No, because if you talk to, you already know. I just finished a report. I did a report for Hugo the other day for Choctaw County for the court. I didn't go talk to the officer because guess what? I got an officer's 3-page report. I don't need to talk to him. It's all right there in the report. But I'll tell you who I did go. I did go drive out there where we're talking about and look at, I drove personally out to the spot because there's a bunch of disagreement. I did talk to the firemen because they didn't have a written report from them. I did talk to the person that was arrested. I did talk to the neighbor. I talked to all kinds of people. And so again, that's what you do when you investigate. I talked to the fire investigator. I did not talk to the officer who wrote it up because he had, I think, a 3 or 4 page report, probably as detailed as a report as I've ever seen. A 100-page report. Hell, if you can't figure out what he's thinking about on 100 pages, I don't know that me going over and visiting him is going to change that. But how about go talk to them inmates? How about go talk to them officers? How about finding other officers? How about talking to the guy who turned it in? Because he might know a whole bunch more. And he might have a whole bunch more. Likely does. And that's what, again, they just don't. My thing is, if they think I can't verify everything and maybe more than what I've done, they'd be dead wrong. Because one thing I have learned, I worked for them for 30 years. You know what they taught me? They taught me to cover my butt. They taught me to document because I've had them go after me. I've had them investigate me. I've had them try to fire me. And I will guarantee you.
Keep talking. I got to get my dog.
They taught me very, very well how to cover my rear. And so what I'm saying is that if you're out there and you're working and this stuff is going on and you're seeing it, you better document it. You better write it down. If you want to get it to me or get it to Bob, send it to us. If you want that anonymous, I've tried to keep. Now, I do want to say up front, if you send me stuff that you're claiming somebody is being raped, if you're claiming that somebody's rights are being violated, that there's a human rights violation going on, I cannot set on that. I cannot remain quiet on that. I'm going to have to work that because I believe to cover that up is a violation. I believe that whoever does cover that up, that they are guilty of violating that themselves. So if you know it, the minute you find out, if you report it, then that relieves you or that dissolves you of any kind of culpability that you would not be responsible. But I think that you have a right to, you have a duty, not just, it's your duty to say that. And if you don't, then you're violating other people's rights. And so I want to encourage you that, you need to make sure, because I think
I bet you didn't even know I was gone, did you? You never missed a beat.
I can talk for a minute. I know most people don't believe that. But Bob, what I was saying is, we had Matt Frisbee on here, I don't know, 2 months ago or so.
Right.
And what we were trying to tell people who work for the department, when you see something of this nature, violations, you need to report it. And again, I want to tell everybody, when you see them attacking the people who are standing up, when you see them attacking Bob, when you see them going personally after me, and man, they have been going right at me. And again, what I'm going to say is did I go recruit 9 people to sue you? That was all you. Did I go and recruit people to tell me that you are locking people in showers? That's y'all. You're doing that. That's the department doing that. Did I go and recruit a person to tell me that they got fired for reporting rapes? No, that was y'all. Did I go over there to the court and talk the court into saying that y'all wrongfully terminated? No, I was nowhere in the court system. I wasn't over there at the court. I did help her get a lawyer. I will say that. That was my part. I did say, hey, I'll help you get a lawyer. So I'll take full responsibility for the things I'm doing. When I'm looking at shortage of staff, when I'm looking at people getting stabbed, Bob.
How many people have been stabbed? Either officer.
I'm not getting a report. We used to get a report on that. I don't get
an officer. Here's the thing: when we had that meeting over there last week before last time.
Where they dedicated the prison.
Yeah. During that procedure, during that time, we're in this room. There was an officer got stabbed at that prison by an inmate.
I'd heard. I think they had said that didn't happen during that period of time. That
it did happen that period of time. Yeah, ambulance was there.
And again, you can't make that stuff up. But the thing about it is you don't get a report on that. You don't get Bob. I read most of my stuff out of the news. I stay pretty busy looking at all this stuff. 4 weeks ago, roughly 5 weeks ago, you had a person, case manager, sitting in Great Plains in their office talking to an inmate. My understanding, 4 others walked in and threw that inmate out of the chair and stabbed him 5-6 times, something like that. You're supposed to have an inmate stabbed in front of a correctional officer multiple times over there. Guess what? I get no report. I don't hear a thing. I got people calling me. I got a call the other day. I could follow up with that they falsified reports, that they have inmates escaping, and that they're saying, no, they were just what they call walk off grounds. They was off grounds. There's 4 or 5 miles off grounds, but they come back and write, off grounds like it wasn't an escape. And again, these are all the things they're doing to try to make it look like they don't have the problems. And see, my mind doesn't. I don't think that way. If I had all these problems, I would be making a list of all the problems, and I would be over at the legislator going, "Hey, we got this, we got this, we got this. We got to have some help. We got to do this. We got to do this." And guess what? Everybody would roll up their sleeves and want to help them. I feel like that's
what happened. What was the first thing they did when they got that raise? 2 years ago? What was the first thing they did?
They froze the hiring.
That's right. They froze the hiring right after giving the raise.
They call it. Do you remember what they called it? They didn't call it a freeze, because every time I'd say it's a freeze, it ain't a freeze. It ain't a freeze.
Whatever the word is, it's the same thing. You weren't hiring anybody.
Yeah, and so
it got us into a mess. We don't have enough officers. We don't have enough case managers. We don't have enough kitchen help. It's all down the line. So tell me, this guy is supposed to be so good. Why are we in such a mess? And why are there so many stabbings going on? Why is so much contraband getting into the prisons?
Well, hey, just be all he thinks I'm mad at him. I'm not mad at him. I have zero animosity. He's got a tough job. Bob, he inherited the mess. I can tell you right now, he inherited a train wreck. I mean, it wasn't no little train wreck. It was a massive train wreck, and you got to go sorting it out. But one of the things you do, you don't walk right out there and tell the association of your employees, we don't want nothing to do with you and you're a third party and we're not going to have anything to do with you. You don't go accusing them and then go behind your back and try to get the board so you can control the board. You know, I mean, that you talk about, wow, that'd take a whole lot right there, Bob.
They told the employees, you know, not to join OCP. You don't need OCP. You don't need OCP.
Well, absolutely. Would you want it?
We're the only voice they have.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They don't want anybody joining OCP because you have somebody who'll stand up. And that's what makes them mad, is that you actually got people who'll stand up, that you can't bully, you can't threaten, you can't, you know, you can get on there and say, hey, I'm jealous. Well, okay, if I'm jealous, does that change the fact that you locked somebody in that shower? Does that change the fact that this person's a whistleblower? Does that change the fact that you lost in courtroom? Does that change the fact you have $43 million in your coffers there that you could have gave a raise for at any time? Does that change the fact that you are probably have staff, whether it be nurses, whether it be...
Well, you forgot one thing. You forgot one thing. When that raise came around, the Wallace, who represented Wallace and others, not just Wallace myself, but others wanted to give the whole amount to the correction officers, because that's really where the problem was.
This is true.
And you told them that, hey, that won't work. You can't do that.
Hey, Bobby, even bigger than that, when we found the money, when we originally found the money, what was being talked about was not withholding that much money from their budget. So it's like, well, okay, now, Humphrey, you proved they got this money. Why should we even give them money? Why don't we withhold that much money from their entire budget? And that was talked about for a minute. And then I went, no, let's get them a raise, because everybody else. And then, I mean, they were on board with it real quick. But like you say, they wanted to give it to only the officers. And we had to really work to get probation, get nurses, because we got them a little bit greater raise too. But we got everybody the 4%. And I agree, Bob, I believe that everybody who works in that institution is as critical as anybody else. If I had my way, I'd put them all in uniform. We'd cut out, everybody would be staff. Everybody would be part of the correctional team. And we would not differentiate between anybody. And I would tell you this, when we had an emergency situation, all hands on deck, everybody turn out, and there wouldn't be this, oh, you got me doing this. I got you doing what the facility needs. Today, this is priority at the facility, and that's what takes priority. Now, that's the way I would try to change things. That's the way I would go. I hope they're listening to that. I hope that's one of the directions they go. And again, you can't go that way overnight. It would take quite a bit to buy everybody uniforms. Probably about $90,000, I think, is what that would cost.
The representative,
it would take, you know, you'd be up there in $1 million or so, probably money. I would guess. I'd have to look at how many employees we're talking about, maybe even more than that. I think you got, again, who knows how many correctional officers you got. And they've told us about 1,700 at one time and 2,000 another. And now they're down, I think last report was 15 something, I think. So you never know. I don't know exactly how many they've got, but they've got 3,000 plus employees. You know, so again, if you had to buy uniforms for 2,000 something, I mean, it costs quite a bit of money. It'd be a couple of $1 million. But at the same time, I think that if you get people in that, if you'd start putting people, when raises, everybody's equal, everybody gets the same. You know, I would work on food service. And again, Bob, here's what's funny. I talked to a person about this the other day. And if I was a director, I wouldn't worry about everybody else. I don't care what they say about me. I'm never worried about what everybody else is saying. I'm worried about what I'm saying. The director was saying there's a whole lot of other things going on in the state that are more important. Hey, it shouldn't be anything more important to him than corrections.
I get a little note here, text message that talks about what they're saying in the prisons is promotion for failure is the word they use.
Right.
Well, listen, we need to move on. So we appreciate you being here today, taking the time to do this. I know it takes a lot of your time to get scheduled to get all your everything done, but I appreciate it. I think everybody else appreciates it. And
yeah.
But we'll if you want to give you 5 seconds to say something else, can you say something in 5 seconds?
Hey, I'll say this: you got to have a vision. Part of vision is pick your top 3 things that you want to work on, not just what you want to work on, how you're going to get there. Get your people on your vision, let them catch your vision, and then institute your vision, and then work on some more. But again, you can blame everybody else around you. It ain't them, it's you. You are the guy that has to change it, nobody else. And it ain't nobody else's fault. You are the one who gets paid the big bucks. You are the one in charge. Get your vision and get what you want, and then get people on board. And you don't do that through threats, intimidation, hostile treatment, firing people. That ain't going to get it. There are people you need to get rid of, and they're sitting right there in your office way up there, in Martin Luther King. And I wouldn't fire them. I would look at, are those jobs critical? You got many jobs not critical, and I would change them. I would give different jobs. So that's what I would say, Bob, is what I would leave.
Well, thank you, Representative. We appreciate you. And I guess you have an interim study next Wednesday. Is that correct?
I've got one on 17th, and then I've got one on 23rd.
17th. I don't know. Is that Wednesday or Thursday?
I think it's Tuesday, Bob. I won't swear.
Well, next week anyway.
Next week.
But appreciate it, and we'll catch you guys later. Just God bless you, and we
Tuesday, Bob.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
And we'll be back here next Friday.